AI has amazing potential, as you said, right? It's just like from that example that you gave to everything that we see around in the world, the PwC numbers like $13 trillion in GDP value being improved by 2025 with AI. But what could go wrong? Tell us about what could go wrong with AI. I'm going right into it.
It's interesting, Ganesh. That is the core of my being right now in my life's work at Credo AI. The unintended consequences of technology is something that I started to recognize about 5 years ago. Prior to that, it was as an engineer, it's all about building cool techs and how it can improve the state of the world, how it can improve our lives. But about 5 years ago, as I transitioned from Qualcomm to Microsoft, I was really, privileged to work with some amazing teams in Microsoft focused on conversational AI, focused on speech technology. And I saw firsthand the things that could go wrong, which were unintentional. So as an example, the traditional DevOps process that we've had for building machine learning systems, it's very product centric, it's very engineering centric. But what I quickly realized was there was a set of stakeholders who had the right oversight coming from compliance, from policy. Their voices were not showing up in the DevOps process. And the reason their voices were really critical were because of exactly what you just said, what could go wrong. There's so much that can be going wrong. For example, as you're acquiring your data sets, are you checking the sources of that data set? Now, the reason that is really important is you want to make sure they're ethically sourced. There's no bias in that data sets. You have a very clear understanding of what populations this system that you're building could be impacting. Then as you start thinking about the models you want to build, your choice of models become really critical. Why did you choose a particular modeling technique over the other, especially, let's say, if you're operating in a regulated environment where explanations are critical? Or when you go through validation process, have you made sure that in your validation, right explainability is built into it? So that I, as like a non-tech user, can still understand how my machine learning systems are making decisions. And then more importantly, once you've packaged this machine learning application and it is providing you the right outcomes for your business, now it's in production. How is it going to impact, the multiple consumers that will be impacted by that technology? And let's ground that in a concrete example. As an example, we work a lot with financial sector right now. And in financial sector, we are looking at scenarios like risk scoring, where you might be taking in your credit card transactions to really figure out a risk score associated with Ganesh. Now, essentially, we want to make sure that the input features that go into making those decisions are not, using any of the protected class variables, or even if they are, there's an understanding of how it is getting used, so that unknowingly these systems are not creating disparate impact, wherein you could be getting a credit score much less than someone else with a different demographic profile. So as we think about what could go wrong, I mean, we've seen everything from, implications economically and educationally for humans, to safety scenarios, to adversarial attacks, to lack of reproducibility of these systems and how they're arriving at decisions. And so the plethora of challenges when this technology is unchecked is a lot. And this is where, Credo AI and what we are working on becomes really critical in how do you ensure someone coming from compliance and risk who understand how to manage risk holistically for an organization, how to manage risk for a consumer, how to disclose that risk to a consumer, their voices come into the AI MLOps pipeline. And there's I would say, a multi-stakeholder platform and ability to ensure that we are not just looking at it from an exciting technology, but we are looking at it as a tool that is going to be influencing the way we live, work, and play.